County Almanac by Leopold, Part 4, The Upshot, Chapter 1, The Land Ethic, Section 8, Land Health and the A-B Cleavage. A land ethic, then, reflects the existence of an ecological conscience, and this, in turn, reflects a conviction of individual responsibility for the health of the land. Health is the capacity of the land for self-renewal. Conservation is our effort to understand and preserve this capacity. Conservationists are notorious for their dissensions. Superficially, these seem to add up to mere confusion, but a more careful scrutiny reveals a single plane of cleavage common to many specialized fields. In each field, one group, A, regards the land as soil and its function as commodity production. Another group, B, regards the land as a biota and its function as something broader. How much broader is admittedly in a state of doubt and confusion. In my own field, forestry, Group A is quite content to grow trees like cabbages, with cellulose as the basic forest commodity. It feels no inhibition against violence. Its ideology is agronomic. Group B, on the other hand, sees forestry as fundamentally different from agronomy because it employs natural species and manages a natural environment rather than creating an artificial one. Group B prefers natural reproduction on principle. It worries on biotic as well as economic grounds about the loss of species like chestnut and the threatened loss of the white pines. It worries about a whole series of secondary forest functions: wildlife, recreation, watersheds, wilderness areas. To my mind, Group B feels the stirrings of an ecological conscience. In the wildlife field, a parallel cleavage exists. For Group A, the basic commodities are sport and meat. The yardsticks of production are ciphers of take in pheasants and trout. Artificial propagation is acceptable as a permanent as well as a temporary recourse, if its unit costs permit. Group B, on the other hand, worries about a whole series of biotic side issues. What is the cost in predators of producing a game crop? Should we have further recourse to exotics? How can management restore the shrinking species, like prairie grouse, already hopeless as shootable game? How can management restore the threatened ratites, like trumpeter swan and whooping crane? Can management principles be extended to wildflowers? Here again, it is clear to me that we have the same A-B cleavage as in forestry. In the larger field of agriculture, I'm less competent to speak, but there seem to be somewhat parallel cleavages. Scientific agriculture was actively developing before ecology was born. Hence, a slower penetration of ecological concepts might be expected. Moreover, the farmer, by the very nature of his techniques, must modify the biota more radically than the forester or the wildlife manager. Nevertheless, there are many discontents in agriculture which seem to add up to a new vision of biotic farming. Perhaps the most important of these is the new evidence that poundage or tonnage is no measure of the food value of farm crops. The products of fertile soil may be qualitatively as well as quantitatively superior. We can bolster poundage from depleted soils by pouring on imported fertility, while we are not necessarily bolstering food value. The possible ultimate ramifications of this idea are so immense that I must leave their exposition to abler pens. The discontent that labels itself organic farming while bearing some of the earmarks of a cult is nevertheless biotic in its direction, particularly in its insistence on the importance of soil flora and fauna. The ecological fundamentals of agriculture are just as poorly known to the public as in other fields of land use. For example, few educated people realize that the marvelous advances in technique made during recent decades are improvements in the pump rather than the well. Acre for acre, they have barely sufficed to offset the sinking level of fertility. In all of these cleavages, we see repeated the same basic paradoxes. Man the conqueror versus man the biotic citizen. Science the sharpener of his sword versus science the searchlight on his universe. Land the slave and servant versus land the collective organism. Robinson's injunction to Tristram may well be applied at this juncture to Homo sapiens as a species in geological time. Whether you will or not, you are a king, Tristram, for you are one of the time-tested few that leave the world when they are gone, not the same place it was. Mark what you leave.